Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLife.com, and today we're checking out this Belkin 3-in-1 wireless charger for iPhone, Apple Watch, and also Apple's wireless AirPods. It's a fully integrated solution with just one cable. It does 7.5 watts from the wireless output charger, and I'll be comparing it with the Charge Tree Swing that I reviewed a few months ago. This is something that I've moved on from an earlier review that I've done from Zeera and their 5-in-1 MagSafe wireless charger. How I have evolved into this decision is that I'm not a big fan of MagSafe on a nightstand. It does create a lot of noise when you bring the phone off or on the stand if the space isn't heavy enough. Another reason why I didn't like this is that I found the lamp uses blue light instead of a warm light, so that's not good for nighttime use in my opinion. The watch was angled vertically instead of horizontally. That's a big thing for me because I use my watch as a nightstand. I don't use my phone. And I found just generally it was a good solution, but it didn't do everything well. And then I moved on to the Charge Tree Swing. This was a really good solution, but I really didn't like that the Apple's AirPods charger was on the back. That made it very difficult to reach for AirPods at night or in the morning, and I didn't want to make my partner that was sleeping next to me. I would have to fumble around the back of this stand just to get the AirPods out of their charging point. And another issue was that, again, the wireless charger was charged vertically. I didn't like the light strip and how illuminating it was at night. And this particular charger, I was also getting disconnections on my Apple Series 5 watch, and it kept on disconnecting overnight, making the chime that it does as it recharges, and that would sometimes wake me or my partner up. So I've decided to go for the different solution, and I thought I'll go all in and see how well this Belkin one performs. So let's check out what's inside the box. So here's everything that you get inside the box. You get the charging stand itself, and you get a small warranty guide, not really an instruction manual as such, so that's not really that important. And you do, unknown to me, you do get a power supply, which is unfortunate if you want to connect to a USB port or something on a desktop, for example. But most nightstands, unless you're technically advanced in the room with lots of USB ports in your wall adapters, again, they're not really going to carry that much significant power output anyway. More likely you're going to be plugging into a wall socket of some sort, and it's good that Belkin has supplied that power, so you know exactly you're going to get the right power from the wall to the charging base, and that's going to hopefully charge everything all hunky-dory. So let's hope that is the case. The lead does look very long. I would say the lead is just over a meter, probably 1.20 meters or 1.30 meters. So that's definitely a good length to get it to a nearby power source for you. Again, it's just a connector at the back, and that connects to the actual base station that we have here. So looking at the base station itself, it's I've gone for the white version. There's two colors. You can get a white one and a black one. This doesn't tilt. I thought it might do, but the Apple Watch charger is fixed there, so it keeps it dead vertical. The charging plate at the bottom isn't really shaped for the Apple AirPods in any way, so it's quite universal. On the back, nothing at the back here. There's no cooling. It's all self-contained. And there's a small little ridge at the bottom here to stop the phone from sliding forward. But I think once you have a case, this little tab ridge there is gonna not really help it. It might just give you a little bit of friction to stop it from sliding forward. But there is a ridge there. You can see at the side, it lips up on the front. So that prevents the phone from sliding forward, hopefully. And again, obviously this is a mounting plate with 7.5 watts of charge. You've got a very small indicator light here to tell you that everything is being powered, or that might light in different ways once it tells you that it is being powered. So we have here 5 watts for the Apple Watch and the AirPods, or 7.5 watts for Qi charging if you want to place a phone or another wireless device on that platform there. There's not much space, and it has a total output of 17.5 watts. There's a little indicator there, so where you're going to plug in the power lead, which is really nice. It keeps it nice and discreet in it as part of the station itself. It's not super heavy, but you're not going to be sticking anything onto it. You just be lifting off, so weight isn't that much of an issue. That was another thing for me. I thought I would like MagSafe docks in that they would magnetize onto the stand, and I did find that if the stand wasn't heavy enough, you'd take the stand with it and you'd create noise if you were trying to silently take the phone off the stand while someone else is sleeping. Just to compare it to the Zeera, the base is almost the same in terms of width, but it's definitely a little bit thicker at the back, at least. Obviously, they've got MagSafe charging on the Zeera 5-in-1 and a much more angled, which can't be tilted, Apple Watch charger, and their base is at the bottom directly underneath instead of at the back. So there's a little differences there. Bigger LED. I did not like their LED either. That was quite bright, or it would flash, or it would just show you weird colors like green if everything is being charged, which doesn't really make much sense. To me, green means everything is charged completely and it's not charging anymore, but that wasn't the case. There's an indicator here I just seen, so that could be for these two. But let's get this plugged in and see how well it charges. I have the plug plugged into the wall. I'm going to now insert this plug, which neatly sits inside like this, and it has a little extra foot there to keep it in place. It's not a perfect fit or flush fit. I would have thought they might have actually made it a bit more flush there, but because it's at the back, you're not really going to see it. So that's the stand with its power all connected. Let's just get some devices now charging. So I've got my iPhone 13 Pro here. We're going to get that on here and hopefully that starts charging. Happy days. So we've got our Apple AirPods Pro here. That should sit on top and we should see that start charging. Yep, that now starts charging without any problems. And the little sort of indentation kind of like hugs it a bit. So that's nice. It doesn't give you that sense of it sliding around. So that's really, really nice. And then finally, the Apple Watch. We can actually have this either loosely, can sit there, and then that is now charging as well. So that's now charging. The Apple AirPods charging, and the phone is charging all in one go. So that's really cool. I'll hold this down so that everything is going to stay put. So that's everything there. But that's everything charging, and you can just knock that out of the way. Or if you've got a really heavy strap, you can just have that loose at the back like that. And you have got some gap here. So if you have a sport band or something like a loop, that can just sit in front of your Apple AirPods Pro. So that looks pretty good to me. You can see the indicators here have lit up. You've got a solid white one here and a solid white one here. I'm not sure if these are ever going to turn off, but if they are, you can just simply cover them if they're going to light up the room, but they're so small, I can't quite see them ever lighting up the room. So this has got a nice slope, so I don't feel that it's going to slide forward. And because it's not attached to anything, it's not MagSafe, you can quickly lift it off without causing any noise to your partner as they sleep. With all the things on it, the stand starts to become very much more sturdy and a bit more solid. It wasn't really super light in the first place. There is some weight to it, so that's a nice advantage of anchoring it on your nightstand without it sliding around. All right, so I'm going to use this now for a couple of days, see how well we got on with any discharging or charging chimes that occur overnight and wake us up, and we can also test if these lights are too powerful in the night, and just generally how well it performs with just general charging.
1 week later.
Right, so we've had a few days using the Belkin 3-in-1 charger, and most of all, it's been a great success. It hasn't lost its charge during the night, hasn't woken me up with my Apple Watch firing off during the night. It's kept my phone charged in the morning, ready to go, so that's perfect. The Apple AirPod charging plate, that has worked perfectly as well, and just generally everything has worked as intended and performed exactly how I was hoping. The best thing is it only comes with just one cable, and that's the power cable. You don't have to run a existing Apple Watch cable out of this. You don't have to plug in a lightning cable. Everything is all from one cable. One thing they have to worry about, it's their own wall adapter as well, so you're getting sufficient power specifically for this unit as well. So you know you're getting the power that it needs, and that's probably the best thing for it compared to its competitors that are a lot cheaper, in that you probably get more cables and you don't have a power adapter to get the best charging for every device that this dock supports. So what didn't I like? I didn't like that it was just a slightly bit too light, but that's not the biggest problem of this charging dock. I use this as a nightstand, literally less than a foot away from my head when I'm sleeping. And I didn't like that the white LEDs really did emit quite a bright light in that area. If you really are a fan of a very dark room as you sleep, and you're worried about all the charging lights that happen on a charging dock such as this, that might wake you up or just illuminate the room, this does that. Bear in mind that these lights at the bottom here, you can see I've actually put a sticker over it just to reduce the amount of light on the bottom and on the top. On the bottom, because it's quite low, it will illuminate the surface that this is actually sitting on. So if you've got this quite far back on your nightstand, it's going to illuminate the rest of that surface area and obviously increase the amount of light that's emitting in that area as well. This isn't so important, this one here, but it's still quite light. And obviously if you've got something that's hovering over like a lamp, then this is going to project light upwards to that light surface and actually illuminate that area as well. Unfortunately, you can't turn these off. And Belkin hasn't done something where you just put the phone on the charger and that the light emits for like say 60 seconds and then turns off. Unfortunately, it's permanently on whilst a device is attached to a specific charging point. So this one will light up for the watch and the battery, and this LED will light up if you've got a phone that's docked. So if you don't use any of these two features here, then this panel will light up, at least this one, if you use this as your phone charging cradle. I got these little stickers here and I just placed it over the white top, but even with that, it's still quite light and it still created some ambient light in the area next to my head. So that's something I really wasn't a fan of. In terms of use, I didn't like that you have the AirPods here, and if you've got a watch like this or even a sport loop, that's going to create this kind of like where you can't actually detach the band itself. You really are hoping that you can do that and you can sandwich it in between, which is possible. It pushes this off a little bit. Sometimes if you didn't realize, the strap can nudge it off the actual charging plate. So that is a little bit detriment. It would have been nicer if this was a bit more tailored to the Apple AirPods case and it was more oblong rather than a circle, because this at the edges on the side isn't really necessarily sitting deep in the well of that recess. It's actually quite easily, you can see here that the watch just pushes it off the plate slightly. So you need to be careful that it is actually still charging when you put your watch on. Another thing is if I were to do this with the straps and you this is quite hard because you've got a magnetic strap, but you can do that, and that works the best because you've got no strap that's interfering. It's not going to make this go at an angle, and you're actually going to get a perfect contact. And of course, you can see the watch charge, and then you know that you don't have to interfere with it because it has told you that it's charging. But just generally, I found on a nightstand situation, if I wanted to reach for my AirPods and my phone in the morning and not touch the watch when I'm still in bed, you'd have to sort of go over the watch strap. Now, that's not going to be an issue if you have a loop or anything like that, or if you do this, you can come in at the side there and get the thing that way, but it does make it a little bit harder to grab. And personally, maybe it might have been better if it was more vertical charging rather than sitting it down like this. You can get dock stands where you have the watch component at the back and the charging plate for the Apple AirPods is at the front, and probably that would have been a better arrangement, but you are going to then blank the phone from emitting its display if you use the watch as a nightstand. But as the phone goes, it sat in there perfectly. It never fell forward. This little notch here at the bottom and this curved piece at the front that's angled, that did keep the phone perfectly aligned and upright. I did one time see that my phone actually wasn't being charged, and I did see that the phone was slightly off the plate here with enough room to get in the way. So that's one detriment that I had, unfortunately. But sliding it back in front, the light would then come on and tell me that it's actually charging properly. But overall, it's definitely a keeper. I won't be sending this back. It's definitely one of the better charging docks that I've actually used. And the fact that it gets all the power you need and the arrangement is exactly how I want it. This is definitely a decent 3-in-1 charging dock for either your desktop, Surface, or just generally on a nightstand. I luckily picked this up for £79.99. They don't really bring that any lower. So if you do want to get it at that price, I recommend apps like Kepper that will monitor Amazon's sales, and it will tell you if this ever comes down in price, because £79 was easily a little bit more easy to swallow for a charging dock like this. You can get similar docks that cost like £20 to £30, but what I'm seeing in reviews for those, you get lots of discharging from various devices. Potentially it could be user error in terms of they're not connecting it to a powerful enough wall adapter, but the fact that Belkin includes that wall adapter, so You're saving a bit of money that way by having it already bundled in, and you're also getting a power supply that they recommend. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. If it has, please leave us a like down below, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this 3-in-1 wireless charging dock from Belkin. You can check out all my other tech reviews up in this playlist up here. Hit that subscribe button down below to catch all my future content, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.